Myra Ellison was a woman who had everything, and yet, she had almost nothing left. For 70 years, she had built an empire. She was a billionaire, the head of one of the biggest companies in the country. Her name was known everywhere, from the tall glass buildings downtown to the small towns where people dreamed of a better life. But now, all of that was far away from her hospital room. The white walls were cold, and the machines beeped softly around her. Doctors had told her the truth: her heart was weak, and she didn't have much time left. Myra could feel the weight of the years pressing on her chest, but what hurt the most was not the sickness. It was the loneliness. She thought back on her life. Years spent in meetings, signing papers, making deals, and growing her company. But in all those years, she had missed many things: the laughter of children, the warmth of family, simple moments of kindness. Now, the silence of the hospital room was louder than all the noise she had ever known. Myra's assistant, a young woman named Claire, came into the room. Claire had been working for Myra for several years. She had seen the tough businesswoman behind the strong face, and now she saw the woman who needed someone to listen. "Myra, the doctor said you should rest," Claire said gently. "You look tired." Myra shook her head. "No, Claire. I want to do one last thing. One last thing before I go." Claire looked at her carefully. "What do you want to do?" Myra took a deep breath and looked at Claire with eyes full of hope and pain. "There is a man I want to see," she said. "A man named Tom." Claire frowned slightly. "Tom? Which Tom?" "There are many people with that name." "No last name," Myra said quietly. "Just Tom. A soldier. A single father. I met him once, a long time ago. He was kind. Honest. He spoke words that stayed with me. I want to see him again." Claire was surprised. Myra was a woman who rarely asked for anything personal. This was different. She knew this was important. "Where do I find him?" Claire asked. "I don't know," Myra said. "But find him. Please." Tom Hayes was living a simple life in a small neighborhood on the edge of the city. His home was modest: a little house with peeling paint and a small garden. It was not much, but it was enough for him and his daughter, Lily. Tom was a veteran. He had served in the army for many years. He had seen hard times, but the hardest was losing his wife, Anna, to illness 3 years ago. Since then, it was just him and Lily, doing their best to live day by day. He worked 2 jobs part-time at a local store and sometimes helping neighbors with small repairs. His hands were strong but gentle, and his heart was full of love for his little girl. One afternoon, when Tom was helping Lily with her homework, there was a knock on the door. Tom opened it to find a man in a neat suit holding a folder. "Mr. Hayes?" the man asked. "Yes." "Who is this?" Tom said, curious but cautious. "My name is David. I work with Miss Myra Ellison. She has asked to see you." Tom blinked. Myra Ellison? The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't remember exactly. "Why me?" Tom asked. David smiled kindly. "She said you helped her once, years ago. She wants to thank you." Tom thought hard but couldn't remember. He looked at Lily, who was watching quietly from the table. "Well, okay. When do I meet her?" Back in the hospital room, Myra waited. Her heart beat slowly, each moment a gift and a reminder. When Tom finally arrived, the room seemed smaller than she remembered. Tom looked different too, worn by life, but with eyes full of quiet strength. "Tom," Myra said softly, holding out her hand. Tom hesitated, then took her hand. "You asked for me?" "Yes," Myra said, her voice steady but tired. "I needed to see you again." They sat together. Myra told him how his words had changed something inside her. "You spoke about hope," she said. "About not giving up, even when everything feels lost. I heard you that night. You helped me see things differently." Tom shook his head in surprise. "I don't remember saying anything special. Just what I felt. But it was special to me," Myra said, smiling faintly. Tom looked at her, seeing not the powerful businesswoman from the news, but a woman who was afraid and alone. "Why now?" he asked gently. "Because I'm running out of time," Myra whispered. "And I don't want to be alone when I go." Tom felt a lump in his throat. He wanted to say more, but words did not come easily. The days passed slowly. Myra asked Tom to come back, and sometimes Lily came with him, bringing small drawings and laughter that filled the room with light. Myra began to open up, telling stories about her past, about mistakes and missed chances. Tom listened, feeling something shift inside him. He wasn't just visiting a rich woman. He was meeting a person, someone who wanted to make things right before it was too late. One evening, Myra looked at Tom and said, "Thank you for coming." Tom smiled, tired but honest. "Thank you for asking me." For the first time in a long time, Myra felt hope not for herself, but for the future she might help create. After Myra's unusual request, Claire felt a new kind of pressure. Finding someone named only Tom seemed impossible. She searched through the company's old event records, emails, and photos, hoping to find a clue. But nothing clear appeared. Claire sat at her desk, tired but determined. She remembered Myra's exact words: "A soldier. A single father. I met him once. He had a little boy." But as days passed, Claire realized Myra might have been mistaken about some details. She decided to ask around. She called the Veterans Center in the city, explaining the situation carefully. After a long conversation, the person on the other side suggested looking for local support groups for veterans with children. It was a start. Meanwhile, Myra's health was getting worse. She knew she had to find Tom soon. Her thoughts were a mix of regret and hope. What if Tom had moved far away? What if he didn't want to see her? Despite her fears, Myra found comfort in small things. Lily's drawings, the gentle visits from Tom, and the moments when she could forget pain and simply listen. Tom Hayes' life was simple, and that simplicity was both a blessing and a challenge. After the man named David left his home with Myra's message, Tom thought long and hard. He remembered that night years ago when he spoke at a charity event, sharing his story about the army, his wife Anna, and the little girl he loved. He never thought his words would reach someone like Myra Ellison. The next day, Tom called his old army friend, Mark. Mark was the kind of person who knew people everywhere. "Mark, do you remember Myra Ellison?" Tom asked. There was a pause on the other end. "Yeah, I remember. Big name in business." "What about her?" "She's asking for me," Tom said slowly. "Says I helped her. Can you help me find out more?" Mark laughed softly. "That's unexpected. But I'll see what I can do." Back at the Veterans Center, Claire had found a list of veterans who were single parents. Tom's name was on the list. She made the call. "Mr. Hayes? This is Claire, assistant to Myra Ellison. Miss Ellison is very ill, and she asked me to find you. Tom was quiet for a moment. I'm here. Would you be willing to come to the hospital? Miss Ellison wants to see you. Tom looked at Lily playing in the yard. He thought of his wife's gentle smile and the words he had shared years ago. Okay, he said finally. I'll come. The day Tom arrived at the hospital was cloudy and cool. Tom's heart beat fast, but he tried to stay calm. When he entered Myra's room, he saw a woman much smaller than the powerful figure he remembered from the news. Her face was soft but tired, her hands thin. Myra smiled when she saw Tom. Thank you for coming. Tom nodded, unsure what to say. Myra reached for his hand, her touch light but strong. Years ago, you gave me hope when I was lost, she said quietly. I need that hope again now. Tom looked into her eyes and saw something real, something he had not expected. Claire watched quietly from the corner. She saw the change in Myra. For the first time in weeks, Myra laughed softly when Tom told stories about Lily and the small adventures they had. Myra listened to how Tom balanced work and parenthood, how he kept going even when things were hard. She admired his quiet strength. One afternoon, Myra asked Claire to bring Lily to the hospital. When Lily arrived, shy but curious, she held out a drawing she made herself, a small garden with flowers and sunshine. Myra's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Lily, she whispered. Lily smiled and sat next to Myra, holding her hand. As the days went by, Myra began to talk more about her own life. She told Tom about her lonely childhood, about the years spent focused only on work, about the people she had pushed away. Tom listened with patience, knowing how much courage it took to share such things. I was afraid to be weak, Myra said one evening. I thought money and power would protect me. But now I see how wrong I was. Tom nodded. Sometimes, the strongest people are the ones who ask for help. Myra smiled, grateful for his kindness. Then one afternoon, Myra surprised Tom with a question. What do you want, Tom? What do you hope for? Tom thought about Lily, about her future without a mother. He thought about the veterans who struggled to find work or support. He thought about himself and the long road ahead. I want a better life for Lily, he said simply. And for people like me to have a place to turn when life is hard. Myra looked at him with new understanding. Maybe we can make that happen, she said softly. Together. Tom left the hospital that day feeling something he had not felt in a long time: hope. For Myra, it was the first time in many years that she believed her life could have meaning beyond money and buildings. The connection between a dying billionaire and a single-father veteran was unlikely, but it was real. And it was just the beginning. Tom Hayes did not know what to expect when he was asked to come to Myra's hospital room again. The first visit had been surprising, but now something deeper was happening. He could feel it in the way Myra's eyes looked at him, not with the coldness he had imagined, but with warmth and hope. On this visit, Myra was sitting by the window. The soft sunlight came through the glass and warmed the room. She smiled when she saw Tom enter. Come in, Tom, she said softly. Tom took a seat across from her. The room was quiet, except for the soft beeping of the machines. Myra took a deep breath. I want to tell you something. Something I have never told anyone. Tom listened carefully. He had learned to listen during his time in the army. He knew that sometimes, just being there for someone was enough. Myra looked down at her hands. When I was young, I was afraid. I was afraid of being weak. I thought that if I worked hard and made money, no one could hurt me. Tom nodded. That makes sense. But it wasn't true, Myra continued. I spent my life building walls around myself. Walls made of business deals and success. But inside, I was lonely. Tom felt a lump in his throat. He thought about his own losses and the quiet nights he spent wishing his wife was still there. Myra smiled sadly. I met you years ago, Tom. At that fundraiser. You spoke with honesty and courage. Your words touched me. Tom remembered the night. He had spoken about loss, about hope, about the things that kept him going. I didn't think my words mattered, Tom said softly. They did, Myra said. They helped me see that life is not about money or power. It's about love, kindness, and hope. Tom looked at Myra carefully. She was a woman who had faced the world and now faced her own end with courage. He felt honored to be part of her story. Why did you want to see me now? Tom asked gently. Because I am running out of time, Myra said quietly. And I want to make things right. Tom nodded. What do you want to do? Myra took a deep breath. I want to leave something behind that matters. Not buildings or money. But something that can help people like you, veterans, single parents, children who need support. Tom was surprised. That's a big wish. Myra smiled faintly. I know. But it's the only one I have left. Over the next few days, Tom visited Myra often. Sometimes, Lily came with him. She was shy at first but quickly grew comfortable in Myra's presence. One afternoon, Lily brought a small box filled with her drawings and letters. She wanted Myra to have them. Myra's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Lily, she said softly. These are beautiful. Lily smiled and sat quietly beside her. Myra looked at Tom and said, You have a beautiful family, Tom. It reminds me of what I lost. Tom understood. He knew Myra's life had been very different from his own. As the days passed, Myra shared more stories. She told Tom about her childhood, how she had grown up in a big house with many servants but felt invisible. How her parents cared more about money than love. Tom listened without judgment. He knew everyone had a story, and sometimes those stories were filled with pain. One evening, Myra said, I wasted so many years chasing success. I forgot to live. Tom took her hand gently. It's never too late to change, Myra. She smiled. Thank you, Tom. You have helped me more than you know. Then came a moment Myra had been waiting for. She looked at Tom seriously. I want you to help me create a foundation, she said. A place where veterans, single parents, and children can find help and hope. Tom was surprised but moved by the idea. That would mean a lot to many people. Myra nodded. It would be my legacy. Something good to leave behind. Tom looked at her with respect. I will help you, Myra. We will make this happen. The partnership between Myra and Tom grew stronger. Claire helped organize meetings with lawyers and advisors. Tom began to learn about the world Myra had lived in, the world of business and decisions that affected thousands. It was overwhelming at times, but Tom never gave up. For Lily, for Myra, and for the hope they shared. One day, Myra said, You have changed me, Tom. You showed me how to be human again. Tom smiled. And you showed me how to believe in second chances. Myra's health continued to decline, but her spirit stayed strong. She looked forward to every visit from Tom and Lily. The hospital room no longer felt lonely. One evening, Myra took Tom's hand and said, "Thank you for being here. For being my friend." Tom squeezed her hand gently. "Always, Myra." As the sun set outside the window, Myra closed her eyes, feeling peace she hadn't known in years. Tom sat beside her, grateful for the chance to be part of something bigger than himself. The days passed slowly in the quiet hospital room. Tom had started coming every day, sometimes with Lily, sometimes alone. Each visit brought more warmth and light into Myra's life, and somehow, Myra brought hope into Tom's world too. One evening, the air was cool and soft. The hospital was calm, and the only sound was the faint beeping of machines. Myra looked at Tom, her eyes full of something she had held back for a long time: truth. "Tom," she said softly, "there is something I want to tell you. Something I have never told anyone before." Tom sat closer. He had learned that sometimes, the most important things are said quietly. Myra took a deep breath. "I have no family. No children. No siblings. I have spent my whole life alone." Tom's heart ached for her. He thought of his little girl, Lily, and how she was the center of his world. "I built my empire on business and deals," Myra continued. "I thought that was enough. But it was not. I was afraid to open my heart. Afraid to be weak." Tom reached out and gently took her hand. "You're not alone now," he said. Myra smiled weakly but looked away. "I don't want to be alone when I go, Tom. That's why I asked for you." Tom was quiet for a moment. The weight of her words filled the room. "Why me?" he finally asked. "Because you reminded me what it means to be human," Myra said. "You showed me strength is not just about power. It's about love, kindness, and hope." After that evening, their conversations became deeper. Myra shared stories from her childhood, how she had grown up in a big house, but no one really saw her. How her parents were too busy with money and business to notice her loneliness. She told Tom about her marriage, which had ended long ago, not with anger, but with distance. Tom listened and sometimes shared his own memories about Anna, about the army, about the promise he made to take care of Lily no matter what. One afternoon, Myra looked at Tom seriously. "I want to ask you something. I want to know what you dream about." Tom thought for a moment. "I dream about a world where people like me, veterans, single parents, children, can find help. A place where no one feels alone or forgotten." Myra nodded slowly. "That is a beautiful dream." Tom smiled. "What about you, Myra? What do you dream about now?" She looked out the window, her eyes shining. "I want to leave something behind. Something that helps people like you. Something that means more than money." Tom's heart lifted. He saw the change in Myra, and it gave him hope too. The next days were busy. Myra's lawyer visited the hospital. Claire helped organize papers and meetings. Tom learned about foundations, donations, and plans. It was all new to him, but he was ready. One afternoon, Myra said, "I want to give you something. Not money for yourself, but a chance to help others." Tom shook his head. "I don't know if I can do that." Myra smiled. "I believe you can. You have the heart for it." She told him she planned to create a foundation to help veterans, single parents, and children in need. She wanted Tom to lead it, to be the voice for those who had no one. Tom felt nervous but honored. "I'll do my best." Lily grew closer to Myra. She brought drawings and stories from school. She talked about her dreams to be an artist. Myra listened with joy and encouragement. One day, Lily asked Myra, "Will you live with us?" Myra smiled sadly. "I wish I could, sweetie. But I'm very sick." Lily held Myra's hand tightly. "I hope you get better." Myra kissed Lily's forehead. "Thank you, Lily. You have brought me so much happiness." Despite Myra's illness, her spirit stayed strong. She spent hours talking with Tom and Lily, planning the foundation and dreaming of the future. One evening, Myra looked at Tom and said, "Thank you for being here. You have changed my life." Tom smiled. "You changed mine too." Myra closed her eyes, feeling peace she had never known before. That night, Tom sat alone in the hospital room after Myra fell asleep. He thought about the woman who had built so much but found her true strength in kindness and hope. He knew the road ahead would not be easy. But he was ready to walk it with Lily and with the dream Myra had shared. Tom sat beside Myra's bed, watching her rest quietly. The days were growing shorter for her, and the hospital felt both like a prison and a sanctuary. But something had changed in Myra. Even with her illness, she seemed lighter, freer. Today was different. Claire had brought a folder filled with papers about the new foundation Myra wanted to start. Tom was learning quickly about what it meant to run such a project, helping people who felt forgotten and lost. "Tom," Myra said softly, opening her eyes, "I want you to promise me something." Tom looked at her carefully. "Anything." "When I'm gone," she said, "you will carry this work forward. You will help the veterans, the single parents, and the children who need hope." Tom swallowed hard. "I promise, Myra. I will do everything I can." Myra smiled weakly. "Thank you. That means more to me than you know." The following weeks passed quickly. Myra's condition became worse, but her spirit never faded. Tom and Lily continued visiting, bringing small moments of joy to the hospital room. One afternoon, Tom sat with Myra while Claire went to arrange a meeting with some people who could help start the foundation. Myra took Tom's hand and said, "You remind me of my late husband, in a way. Strong, kind, and brave." Tom smiled softly. "Thank you, Myra. That means a lot." Myra's eyes filled with tears. "I have been afraid for so long. Afraid to open my heart. But you helped me see that it's never too late." Soon, the first meeting was held at the hospital. Claire had brought in a small group of people, lawyers, advisors, and community leaders to discuss Myra's plans. Tom sat quietly, listening to ideas and learning quickly. Myra, despite her weakness, spoke with passion. "This foundation will be a home," she said, her voice soft but steady. "A home for veterans who feel lost, for single parents who struggle, and for children who need a chance." The group nodded, impressed by her vision. Tom felt a new fire inside him. He realized this was more than just a project. It was a chance to change lives, including his own and Lily's. Back at home, Lily helped Tom prepare for the future. She was a bright and thoughtful girl, always ready with a smile. One evening, as Tom tucked her into bed, Lily asked, "Dad, will Myra's foundation help kids like me?" Tom smiled. "Yes, Lily. It will help kids like you and families like ours." Lily yawned but looked hopeful. "I'm glad." Tom kissed her forehead. "Me too, sweetheart." At the hospital, Myra's health was fragile, but her mind was sharp. She and Tom spent hours talking about what the foundation would do, helping veterans find jobs, giving single parents a safe place, offering education and care for children. Myra's dreams were big, but Tom believed in them. One afternoon, Myra said, "Tom, I want you to promise me one more thing." Tom looked into her tired eyes. "Anything. I want you to live your life fully. Don't carry only my dreams. Make your own, too." Tom smiled. "I will, Myra. I promise." Myra's time was running out, but every moment was precious. She watched Tom with pride as he began to take charge of the plans. Claire supported him every step of the way, and Lily's laughter brought light into the hospital. One evening, Myra held Tom's hand tightly. "Thank you for being my friend," she whispered. Tom squeezed her hand. "Thank you for trusting me." The day came when Myra's strength faded. She was peaceful, surrounded by the people who cared for her. Tom and Lily were there, holding her hands. Myra looked at Tom one last time. "Remember," she said softly, "hope is stronger than fear." Tom nodded, tears in his eyes. "I won't forget." After Myra's passing, Tom felt a deep sadness, but also a new sense of purpose. The foundation she dreamed of was no longer just an idea, it was his mission. With Claire's help, Tom began to reach out to the community, organizing support and gathering volunteers. Slowly but surely, the foundation took shape. One bright morning, Tom stood in front of a small group gathered for the opening of the new center. Families, veterans, and children smiled and shared their stories. Tom looked at the building and remembered Myra's words. "This is just the beginning," he said softly. And for the first time in a long time, Tom felt hope. The opening day of the foundation was filled with hope and excitement. The small building buzzed with people, veterans, single parents, children, and volunteers all gathered to celebrate a new start. Tom stood at the front, his heart full of pride and responsibility. This was more than just a center, it was a promise to Myra and to everyone who needed help. Claire stood beside him, smiling warmly. "Look at this, Tom. You did it." Tom nodded but felt the weight of the work ahead. "It's only the beginning," he said. "There's so much to do." Inside the building, there were rooms filled with toys for children, a small library, and comfortable places where veterans and parents could talk. Volunteers had prepared food and drinks, and laughter filled the air. Lily ran around happily, making friends with other children. Her bright smile reminded Tom why this work was so important. The foundation quickly became a place of support and healing. Tom and Claire worked hard to create programs that helped veterans find jobs and offered parenting classes for single moms and dads. They partnered with local schools and hospitals to provide extra care. One morning, Tom sat with a veteran named Sam. Sam had returned from service with injuries and struggled to find work. Tom listened to his story and promised to help. "Thank you, Tom," Sam said. "You don't know how much this means to me." Tom smiled. "We're in this together." Every day brought new challenges, but also new successes. Tom learned more about leadership and kindness. He found strength in the community that was growing around the foundation. One afternoon, Claire brought some good news. "Tom, a local business wants to donate money for scholarships for kids." Tom's eyes lit up. "That will help so many families." Myra's dream was becoming real. At home, Tom and Lily's bond grew stronger. They shared hopes and dreams during quiet evenings. Lily wanted to become a teacher one day, and Tom promised to help her reach her goals. One night, Lily looked at Tom with serious eyes. "Dad, do you think Myra would be proud of us?" Tom hugged her close. "More than anything." Back at the foundation, Tom faced difficult decisions. Some days were exhausting. There were times when he doubted if he was doing enough. One evening, as he sat alone in his office, Claire came in. "You're doing great, Tom. Remember, you don't have to do this alone." Tom nodded. "Thank you, Claire. I just want to honor Myra's trust." As months passed, the foundation grew. More people came for help, and more volunteers joined. Tom visited veterans' homes, schools, and shelters to spread the word. He met families like his own, people struggling but full of hope. One day, a woman named Sarah came to the foundation. She was a single mother and a veteran, much like Tom. She told him her story, how she had lost hope until she found the foundation. Tom listened closely. "You're not alone, Sarah. We're here for you." Sarah smiled. "Thank you, Tom. This place saved my life." The foundation's success brought new challenges too. Tom had to learn how to manage funds, handle problems, and keep everyone working together. It was not easy, but with Claire's help, he stayed focused. One evening, Tom looked out the window, thinking about Myra. "Thank you for believing in me," he whispered. The foundation's first anniversary was a special day. A small celebration was held with the families, veterans, and volunteers. Tom spoke to the crowd, his voice steady but full of emotion. "This foundation is a promise," he said. "A promise that no one will be forgotten, that everyone will find hope." The crowd applauded, many wiping tears from their eyes. After the celebration, Tom and Lily walked home together under the stars. Lily held his hand tightly. "Dad," she said, "thank you for everything." Tom smiled. "Thank you for giving me hope." The journey was far from over, but Tom knew they had taken the most important step. Myra's legacy was alive and growing, a shining light for those who needed it most. And for Tom and Lily, it was the start of a new life full of hope, love, and the promise of tomorrow. Years passed since Myra's passing, but her dream lived on stronger than ever. The foundation she had started with Tom's help had grown into a beacon of hope for many. Veterans, single parents, and children found support, friendship, and a chance to build a better life. Tom stood in the center's garden, watching families play and talk. The sun was warm, and the laughter of children filled the air. He smiled, feeling grateful for the journey that had brought him here. Tom's life had changed forever. When Myra had first asked to see him, he never imagined that their meeting would lead to this, a community of people working together to heal old wounds and build new futures. Lily was no longer the shy girl she had been. She was confident, kind, and full of dreams. Tom watched her play with other children, knowing she would one day make a difference in the world. One afternoon, Claire joined Tom in the office. "The foundation has helped more than 500 families this year," she said proudly. Tom nodded. "That's because of the hard work from everyone, especially you." Claire smiled. "It's been a team effort. And Myra's vision keeps us going." Tom looked at the photo of Myra on his desk. She believed in second chances. In hope. But the road wasn't always easy. There were challenges, funding problems, difficult decisions, and days when Tom felt tired and unsure. Still, he never gave up. One evening, after a long day, Tom sat alone in the quiet room. He thought about the times he had felt lost before he met Myra and how far he had come. Just then, Lily came in, holding a drawing. "Look, Dad. I made this for you." Tom took the picture, smiling. It showed a big tree with many people under it, holding hands. Above the tree were the words, "Hope lives on." Tears filled Tom's eyes. "Thank you, Lily. This means everything." At the foundation, Tom often met people who reminded him of his own journey, people who had lost hope but found strength in the community. One day, a young father named Mark came to Tom with his little son. Mark had been struggling after returning from the army and raising his child alone. "I don't know how to do this," Mark said quietly. Tom placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone. We'll help you." Mark smiled for the first time in a long while. Tom remembered Myra's last words to him, "Hope is stronger than fear." Those words became his guide. He worked to create programs that helped people face their fears and find hope in their lives. The foundation started offering counseling, job training, and safe spaces for families. Every success story was a light in the darkness. One bright morning, the foundation held a special event, a day to celebrate the community they had built. Families shared stories, laughed, and dreamed together. Tom stood before the crowd, feeling proud and humbled. "Myra once told me that the greatest gift we can give is hope," Tom said. "Today, I see that hope everywhere, in your faces, your stories, and your hearts." The crowd cheered, and Tom knew Myra's spirit was with them all. That night, after the event, Tom sat on the porch with Lily. The stars shone brightly above. "Dad," Lily said softly, "thank you for helping so many people." Tom smiled. "Thank you for teaching me to believe in hope." They sat quietly, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Myra's story had changed Tom's life and many others. From a dying billionaire's final wish to a single dad's courage, a new family had been born, one built not by blood, but by love, kindness, and hope. And in every heart that found help at the foundation, Myra's legacy lived on.